It was a late start to the 2020 NASCAR Pinty Series season, but there was no shortage of drama in race number 1. With only 125 laps to get to the front and score a victory in race number 2, expect plenty of hard-charging, door-banging action.
The 2020 Fan Cave Summer Series is now in full swing. Last time out, it was the 3 of Jason Hathaway who dominated much of the race. But after some late race fireworks, it was the 47 of LP Dumoulin who was triumphant. Canada's series returns to Sunset Speedway for round number 2. It's time for the True North, strong and fast. This is the second race of the 2020 NASCAR Pinty Series Fan Cave Challenge from Sunset Speedway in Innisfil, Ontario. This is the Canadian Tire 125. Hello and welcome to NASCAR Pinty Series Racing on TSN. I'm Dave Bradley, along with the trackside voice of NASCAR in Canada, Adam Ross, and veteran Todd Lewis will be patrolling the pits for us once again. Well, we started late in the summer for the 2020 season of the NASCAR Pinty Series, but it started out with a bang.
It sure did, Dave, but it's been tough. Motorsports is a fan-friendly sport. We haven't been able to have fans in the grandstands, but things are really starting to roll now. That last race was a wild one.
Yeah, you're right. Still no fans in the grandstands for race number 2, but man, would they have loved to see race number 1. It was fireworks, really, for the last 50 laps of that event.
They only officially count a race leader at the start-finish line, but I think on the last lap alone, we had 3 different leaders. Each had a great shot at the victory.
And there were some new faces vying for the win as well. Trayton Lapsevich up there fighting with some of the veterans. And how about Brett Taylor? Another solid run, finishing on the podium in the 33.
His win at the end of last season gave him so much confidence, and confidence is so important when it comes to driving a race car. Brett Taylor is still riding high on something that happened 10 months ago, but he looked great.
He really did. And with a shortened season, remember, only 6 races this year, well, tempers seem to be a little short as well. And with more on that, let's go down to Todd Lewis. Todd?
That's right, guys. Plenty of drama in race number 1. The 3 car of Jason Hathaway seemed to have the car to beat. Late cautions, though, bunched the field. The 74 of Kevin Lacroix got close, and in fact, really close. Plenty of contact between the two, and instead of either scoring the victory, they got turned around, and the 47 went to the front and scored the win. With short races, often tempers become short, and in race number 2, maybe there's a little payback. We'll have to wait and see.
Remember, Adam, it's only 125 laps. When we return, we will fire things up for the Canadian Tire 125 here at Sunset Speedway. The Canadian Tire 125 from Sunset Speedway is brought to you by Pinty's, making great food fun. By Leland Industries, a proud Canadian fastener company. By WeatherTech, the ultimate interior protection for your vehicle. And by Fast Eddie Speedwear, get geared up.
Well, the engines have fired here at Sunset Speedway. With no fans in attendance, the drivers had a message for those who couldn't be here today.
Hey fans, DJ Kennington here, driver of the number 17 Castrol Edge Dodge. It's not the same at the racetrack without you here, but we're going to put on a heck of a show for you. Hopefully it's a good show for TV, and we can't wait to get you back here in the stands. I love hearing you scream and shout, whether you're booing or cheering. It's good to hear you.
Hey race fans, sorry you can't be here today for the NASCAR Pinty Series race at Sunset Speedway. We can't do this stuff without you, so it's really hard for us to do this, but watch on TSN, follow us all on the social media platforms, and we'll keep you informed, and hopefully you'll be back at the track sooner than later.
Hi, it's Larry Jackson coming to you from the Pinty Series. Fans, we miss you, wish you were here. We'll see you soon.
Connor James, driver of the number 8 SSG Gloves Ford Fusion for Ed Hackinson Racing. Hope to see you fans out at the racetrack sometime soon.
Bonjour, hello NASCAR fans. Hope you enjoy the show today. We're looking forward to putting on a great event for everyone back at home watching on TSN. Wish you were all here enjoying the show live, but we'll definitely miss you and be back next year.
Hey NASCAR fans, here is LP Dumoulin, driver of the 47 WeatherTech Benmar car. We miss you guys. We wish you were here with us at the racetrack, but the conditions are different this year. We'll miss you for sure, but we'll make sure we're going to give you a really good show. All right? We'll see you soon. Love y'all.
And Adam, we should say that we miss the fans at the racetrack too.
As the track announcer for the series, yes, so much more enjoyable when there's people there to listen, Dave. You know, the energy is different, but when you fire the engines and these cars roll off, the one constant is the drivers are up on the wheel. And the first race showed us of this season, they are ready to rumble.
Yeah, there's a ton of intensity inside these race cars. As we take a look at the Quick Wick starting lineup, on pole will be the 33 of Brett Taylor. LP Dumoulin, the winner in race number 1, will start alongside. Row number 2 has the youngster Trayton Lapsevich in the 18. Larry Jackson, good starting spot in the 98.
Row number 3 has Jason Hathaway, heartbreak in race number 1. He'll start alongside Dexter Stacy in the 92. DJ Kennington drives the 17. Alongside him in row 4 is Donald Teage in the 80.
Looking back to row number 5, that's where we find Jason White in the 28. Matthew Kingsbury drives the number 75. And then row number 6, Anthony Simoni in the 1, and Kevin Lacroix in the 74.
And rounding out the starting grid, Connor James, with about 3/4 of a race car, is going to start shotgun. And we see right there a lot of body work missing from that SSG gloves, number 8.
Well, that's the thing when you have a double header, that you get damage in these race cars. And you can see a tribute to Brandon White as we ride on board with Jason White and take a look at your E3 Spark Plugs race analysis.
125 laps. The winner of race 1 was LP Dumoulin, the 47. He would love to double up.
This is a beautiful speedway for side-by-side racing. Lots of room to get 2 cars through these ends very, very easily. Let's check in before the green with Todd. Todd?
Great starting spot for the 98 of Larry Jackson. He's finished on the podium here at Sunset. He'd been looking for another good run today. And the 17 of DJ Kennington started on pole in race number 1, fell back, managed to salvage something. He said they took a big swing at the car for race number 2. We'll see if it helps him to get to the front.
Yeah, I was surprised at DJ's run in that first race as we have a look back in the eyeballs of one of the veterans of our sport. If anyone knows the adjustments they want, it's DJ Kennington. I'm curious to see how he's going to do.
Yeah, he's not just a driver. He's one of those guys who gets underneath, gets his hands dirty, and makes those changes to that race car. Will be interesting to see how the Castrol Edge number 17 does. The field lines up side by side through 3 and 4 for the final time. Get ready, because here we go. The green flag is up in the Canadian Tire 125.
Solid start for Brett Taylor. Managed to keep it on the bottom groove, Dave, and that's hard on the opening lap. Wow, a little bit of a shove there coming through the turn.
Yeah, there's not much room out there. Look at LP Dumoulin trying to crowd the 33 of Brett Taylor down to the inside. It doesn't work. Dumoulin will slot into second in the WeatherTech Dodge as Taylor moves to the lead. Ooh, that's Donald Teage in the 80.
And Donald Teage, I don't know if he was having braking problems in the first race, but the way he entered the corner a few times there made us a little suspicious. We're seeing the same thing here.
Trayton Lapsevich did very well in his first race in the NASCAR Pinty Series, finishing up on the podium and looking for more here as he moves underneath a 2-time series champion in LP Dumoulin.
We ride on board with Jason Hathaway behind the wheel of that number 3. There's an interesting shot looking in on the driver.
There you see, it's difficult. Once you get to the inside, you have to hope that the car in front of you is going to move, because the outside does get some grip and some momentum. And look at Donald Teage moving in.
The big difference is you can't get on the throttle as hard when you have to pinch the car down on the inside as you can when you come all the way to the wall. That's why you'll see cars close in on a competitor, drive right to the inside, and then not be able to make the pass.
Oldfield chasing the TCB Trailers number 33 of Brent Taylor. Brand new crew chief for him this year, with Howie Scannell Jr. calling the shots, as Taylor has to do a little defensive driving as Lapsevich takes a look underneath the 33.
Trayton Lapcevich has been one of the smoothest drivers all day long out here. A lot of laps on this racetrack, and look at the way that car just hugs the bottom of the track.
Yeah, we talked about his experience in a mini stock here at Sunset Speedway, former champion, as a matter of fact, the youngest champion here at Sunset Speedway. So he knows this place like the back of his hand, but it's a little different when you get behind the wheel of one of these NASCAR Pinty Series cars. They handle much different than anything else.
Yeah, you're absolutely right as Jason Hathaway closes in on this battle for the lead. And this is where Trayton Lapcevich's youth and enthusiasm can actually get a driver in trouble. You don't want to be side by side for many laps in a row this early in a race. This is not a pit stop race. You've got to keep the tires under you.
Yeah, we talked, it's 125 laps, which is a shorter distance comparatively to what we normally run in the NASCAR Pinty Series, but you do need equipment there at the end, be it brakes or tires.
And as you run the bottom of the race, a little bit of scanner. We're hearing some spotters chatting out there with the drivers.
And Lapcevich into the top spot as Taylor stuffed up in the outside groove, and Hathaway will now go through for second in the Kubota Chevrolet. Remember how dominant Hathaway was in race number 1, and unfortunately at the end had nothing to show for it because of a spin involving the 74 of Kevin Lacroix.
You always want to watch our races right to the end, Dave, because things can change in a heartbeat. One thing that's still the same, though, is LP Dumoulin. He's got a lot of speed in that 47 as he's looking to follow Donald Teach through, take over the 4th spot from Brett Taylor, so Taylor back to 5th.
Yeah, a couple black cars, and now Taylor will get in a little bit deep and into the back bumper of the Dodge Challenger of LP Dumoulin, and look at Hathaway digging to the inside in 1 and 2. We have a battle for the race lead here in the Canadian Tire 125. Right now, though, it's the youngster, Trayton Lapcevich, who's in control. Welcome back to the NASCAR Pinty Series Fan Cape Challenge. Trayton Lapcevich leads the Canadian Tire 125. We thought that he might be the youngest to lead a lap in Pinty Series racing, but our statistician Bryce Turner says that his brother Caden actually beat him to it at 15 years, 7 months, and 17 days.
Brotherly rivalry. I was thinking of saying brotherly love, but no, brotherly rivalry works better.
It really does, and they do. I mean, they're both very competitive, and you can see just how much so by how well they perform in the NASCAR Pinty Series. But right now, it's Hathaway trying to get a drive up off the inside of the Rona Quick number 18 of Trayton Lapcevich.
He lets his car push up just a little bit. I mean, there's contact there, but barely. But lap after lap, he'll try to wear down Trayton again. He knows that he doesn't want to race side by side at this point in the race, but he definitely wants to keep Trayton Lapcevich occupied.
Hathaway drives it in hard. They will go right door handle to door handle. Keep an eye, too, on the driver in 3rd place, Donald Teach. He has been lurking now. He drove up from the back of the pack. Remember, that's a brand new race team here in 2020. They caught the wall at the opening of race number 1, so he didn't get the finish that he was looking for then. Race number 2, they have things sorted out, and that car's a rocket ship. There's
a lot of speed there. Dave, have you been looking over at Jeff Lapcevich while these races go on? He's the spotter that's nearest to us. And I'm amazed at how calm and cool he's been through the process. He was always crew chief for Caden, so he didn't spot. For Trayton, he's got Tyler Case as his crew chief, so Jeff is up in the stands spotting.
Well, and the key with a spotter is they need to remain calm and cool to keep their driver cool.
That's exactly why I wouldn't want to spot for my son. It's very hard, I would imagine, to keep your composure watching this. Definitely a proud parent moment, I'm sure.
Hathaway able to clear the 18 of Trayton Lapcevich. A 4-car battle as they're able to open up a gap now on the 74 of Kevin Lacroix, who has moved up into 5th spot from starting scratch on the field. So keep an eye on the bumper-to-bumper Total Lubricants number 74 as well.
Yeah, the luck of the draw starting lineups did not work out for Kevin Lacroix. He has had to pass a lot of race cars today to get up there and contend with a top finish.
47 of LP Dumoulin. You see missing a right front fender, but he won race number 1, leads the Pinty's Fan Cave Summer Series point standings as the leader makes his way around the 98 of Larry Jackson in the Dark Horse Trailers by Jim Bray sponsored car.
Larry Jackson, how's this for a statistic? One of the nicest guys in the sport, has raced with 13 different car numbers, also has 13 top 10s, 5 laps led, and 1 career top 5, or podium finish rather.
And always a huge grin. No matter where he is on the racetrack, always at the end of the race, you can find Larry Jackson with a big thumbs up.
We look at Anthony Simone battling with Matthew Kingsbury. It's the Silverline Tools number 1. Kingsbury and the Duro King 75, and they battle for the 9th spot.
Adam, a little while ago, you mentioned Jeff Lapsevich spotting for his son, Trayton, but your son, Connor Ross, is going to make his racing debut at Flamborough in the near future, isn't he?
We're spending a lot of time at Flamborough Speedway over the next few weeks, but yeah, Connor's got the opportunity to race a vintage modified.
That's pretty cool.
Same cars that I drove. Dave Jacobs came through that series, so some Pinty's correlation there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I would be too. That's going to be neat to watch. And of course, the NASCAR Pinty Series makes a stop at Flamborough Speedway. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. First one being the Pinty's 125, coming up very shortly.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. Anytime we get to visit a new speedway with the series is exciting. But to bring it home and visit a speedway that's closest to me that I've spent a ton of time at, I'm pretty excited. Oh, trouble!
Big trouble. Smoke on the WeatherTech Dodge and no sound.
And that is the way you exit the racetrack. So on a Saturday night show, when you leave the track to go to the pit area, that's where you exit, is off of turn number 2. That car has no power to it.
Yeah, I thought I saw a flame shoot out from the right front as well. We'll have another look at what happened on board.
Oh, yeah. And you could see LP's hands wiggle. I almost wonder if the oil was starting to come out of it at that point. But did a nice job to keep it under control, get up there on the access road to the garage area. And once they give him a little push, it's all downhill to get back.
True. That's the easy part, getting back. But the power plant on that one outlived its best before date as Dexter Stacy makes a quick stop down pit lane in the Bullies truck stop, number 92. Big changes on that race car.
They struggled horribly with the setup in race number 1. They're actually better in this race. He's closer to being on the pace. Still not where he wants to be as the Silverline Tools team working on the right rear corner of Anthony Simone's number 1.
And you can see Joey McComb, a veteran of the NASCAR Pinty Series himself, calling the shots in the blue polo shirt on the inside of the wall. He can't jump over the wall because he doesn't have his race suit on, but telling the crew what to do and what to look.
He's got a lot of knowledge, Joey McComb. He's been around racing quite a while. You can see him giving instructions. We'll be right back with more NASCAR racing on TSN.
Sunset Speedway aligned as a NASCAR-affiliated track back in 2015. It's hosted now 3 NASCAR Pinty Series races, one time called the Thrill on the Hill in Innisfil, just outside of Barrie, Ontario. Welcome back. I'm Dave Bradley, along with Adam Ross in the booth, and Todd Lewis is pit side. And you'll see the 98 of Larry Jackson will get the free pass during this caution.
That's the Dark Horse Trailers by Jim Bray Dodge, number 98. He'll get back on the lead lap, just waiting for his cue. But he knows, start-finish line, 1 to go. That's my time to take off.
And the field will bunch up behind the NASCAR Pinty Series Dodge Ram Pace truck. So it'll be Hathaway and Lapsevich. This will be interesting to see Lapsevich. He's been pretty much a bottom feeder for the first portion of this race. We'll see how he does way up on the outside in that Quick Chevrolet alongside the Kubota Choco number 3 of Jason Hathaway, who has been so very, very good here at Sunset Speedways. We ride on board with Jason White, one of the Western Canadian drivers, and back to green we go.
Dan Hawkins waving the green flag over the field. Great to see him back. It is a limited staff. Everything is limited this season, so we were curious who we were going to see when we showed up at the racetrack.
The jump Lacroix got the bumper-to-bumper Dodge up on the outside into third spot. Goes Lacroix around the high side of the 80 of Donald Teach. Drops back one spot. Now side by side, Brett Taylor and DJ Kennington.
Yeah, Kennington got a good start up there on the outside. His car, it's not great, but on the outside seems to be where he can make the best moves. You see the visor up. Oh, contact with Taylor.
Things are heating up between these two drivers as they battle for position. Battle for fifth spot, and Taylor gets all kinds of tail happy in the 33.
And that's going to happen when you're on the inside. You want to put the power down because you see the car on the outside accelerating. You just can't. You don't have the banking. You don't have well, you have the banking, but you don't have the same arc they do in the high side.
Interesting to see the 28 of Jason White up on the outside as well. He saw DJ Kennington performing decently out in that second groove, so he jumped up there as well, and he's holding his own, doing a little bit better than that even.
Connor James in the SSG gloves number 8 cannot hit anybody this race. There is not much in front of the radiator of that race car, so he's got to be cautious, but he's showing signs of being pretty racy.
You know what? He had a pretty clean car in that first race right until that last corner skirmish, and unfortunately crumpled the front end. They tore off the fiberglass and said, run it this way, and he is doing just that. Look, Lacroix now to the inside of Laksevich.
Yeah, Lacroix down low as we go side by side. Look at that crazy battle a little deeper. Matthew Kingsbury in the 75 trying to hold off Connor James and Jason White at the same time. Anthony Simoni right behind them. So it looks like the Simoni team did find some speed.
Almost 3 wide there as Connor James lit up the left front tire. Battle for second as Lacroix noses out in front of the 18 of Trayton Lapsevich, and James has just made short work of both the 28 of White and the 75 of Matthew Kingsbury.
You know, as this race wears on, Dave, Connor James, aerodynamics really doesn't play a part with the NASCAR Pinty Series, but tire temperature does. And with nothing in front of those front tires, I wonder if that's doing favors for Connor James, because he has really not fallen off at all where some of the other teams have.
Very right. Check out that battle for 9th spot between the Silverline Tools #1 of Anthony Simoni and the 28 Powder Excavating Dodge of Jason White. They're side by side as well. Again, that's a battle for 9th position.
I get real confused when we're on board on one of the side-by-sides and we're watching the same battle. System overload. Great racing as Connor James to the inside of Brett Taylor picks up another spot.
Yeah, he just sliced down the inside, but again, lights up that left front corner on the SSG gloves #8 out of the Ed Hackinson Racing stable. So he's got to be careful. You're right. He may have lower tire temperatures because he doesn't have fenders in the way. He's getting all the wind on those front tires, but he's got to be careful to preserve those tires and not light them up too much.
You get an idea of the camber settings, too, on a race car. You normally can't see it because they're under the fenders, but when we have a look at the front end of Connor James, look at the left front. It's actually negative camber as it's leaned way into the corner, Dave, because when the car goes into the corner and the front end squats, that left front sits absolutely flat on the racetrack. On the straightaway, it looks like it's almost tipped out of the car.
And we should say a big shout out to our director, Steve Ryan, for that side-by-side as he caught all of the action from multiple different angles around this third of a mile oval here at Sunset Speedway outside of Barrie, Ontario.
Another spot for Connor James as he goes by the veteran DJ Kennington to move into the top 5.
Big gap ahead of him, though, and it's a long way to catch the leader. Jason Hathaway is out in front in the Canadian Tire 125. Even with no fans in the stands, Sunset Speedway looks spectacular. A tip of the hat to Brian and Sandra Tonish for this Canadian Tire 125 and being gracious host for the NASCAR Pinty Series here today as we return on TSN and we return to this battle for second position.
Trayton Lapsevich in the quick number 18, the 74, is Kevin Lacroix. And did you notice when that, from the drone shot when we came back, significant contact between Larry Jackson and Dexter Stacy?
And we should mention that this battle for second spot chasing The leader, the 3 of Jason Hathaway, now with nearly a 3-second lead, about 2.7 seconds the last time they crossed the stripe. That's a huge lead here.
I think Kevin Lacroix was trying to knock our speed shot off the wall.
Wouldn't be surprised.
He was right up there as he came out of the corner. He clears Trayton Lapsevich, so he'll take on that second position once again.
Place. You can really hear the drivers have to control the throttle as they get on it, get off it, not get too hard on either pedal in order to save the tires and not get too loose either way.
There's a lot of finesse involved in driving on oval tracks. Oh, Brett Taylor gets squirrely right in front of Matthew Kingsbury. Taylor's in the 7th spot. Kingsbury is 8th, and now Kingsbury might help him get a little squirrely.
Yeah, the Duro King Dodge gets into the back of the TCB trailers, number 33 of Brett Taylor, and looks like Kingsbury gets right down to that curbing in this battle for 7th position.
Taylor going to maintain that spot. Kingsbury will fall back in line and try to get another run at the driver. And this is all happening about 2 car lengths behind the 6th place car of DJ Kennington.
See a quick look at Dexter Stacy, the number 92 of the Bullies Truck Stop Chevrolet, just in behind Trayton Lapsevich. He is a lap down at this point, but there's your 2nd place driver, Kevin Lacroix. Lapsevich now in the quick number 18 is in 3rd, but here is your race leader, and he nearly has the windows cranked down, and he's easing it back because Jason Hathaway has that big of a lead.
He's on cruise control right now, and the best thing for Jason Hathaway is he looks out the windshield and there's nothing in front of him for a little while, so no lap traffic to deal with.
Just watch his hands. They're not busy at all. That's how good that race car is working.
Very smooth behind the wheel is Jason Hathaway. He has won on a road course before, but he definitely considers himself an oval track specialist.
For sure he does. But it's interesting to see now as we start to get over.
Slow, add your bumper. Drive it deep. He's got no bumper.
Donald Teja's spotter's hand, drive it in deep. There's no front, and at this point it doesn't matter. There's no front bumper unless he told him to stop the brakes while Connor James was right behind him. That would be a little bit of dirty pool, but.
Yeah, James has no intention to use that front bumper, nor does he need to, because somebody has thrown a load of Quick Wicks in the trunk of that race car and set them ablaze because he is on fire at this point.
I see what you did there. You set it up and laid it down.
Working through lap traffic as Larry Jackson tucks to the inside. He knows he doesn't want to get in the middle of that battle between the veteran Donald Teej and the youngster Connor James.
So James up to the 4th position. He's got a long way to go to catch this battle between Kevin Lacroix and Trayton Lapsevich, but there's still 50 laps remaining.
Hey, I love watching this one, and I've been watching it for the past several laps. Lacroix will get a bit of a gap, then Lapsevich will reel him back in, start digging underneath and taking looks as he's doing right now in the Quick Wick Rona number 18. But it's been sort of an ebb and flow battle, big time.
It really has been, and I'm not sure what Kevin Lacroix is trying to do, if he's changing his line, changing his braking points. Nothing he's doing is allowing him to catch up to Jason Hathaway, but he definitely wants to avoid a confrontation with Trayton Lapsevich, too.
Well, we're up over halfway now, and you can see some of the drivers who are struggling a little bit with handling, trying to find a sweet spot on the racetrack where that car works best. That's maybe why you see Kevin Lacroix start to slide up into the outside group.
And that's a brand new race car for Kevin Lacroix. It's a McCall chassis, but it's been Don Thompson.
Don Thompson does do a lot of work on that race car.
Well, and they were the last car to make it to the grid for this race. Thompson had some work he wanted to get done on that race car, and they just made it as the engines were fired.
Anthony Simoni also has the touch of Don Thompson in that Silverline Tools number 1. But we talked about drivers moving up into the outside group. DJ Kennington is running a typical Andrew Ranger line. the driver that ran out of the DJK stable, won the championship last year, loves that extreme high groove. And Kennington said, well, if it worked for him, maybe it's going to work for me at this point in this race.
I don't often have much of a memory, but when Alex Tagliani lapped pretty much the whole field here, did he not run a higher line that day than normal?
He did too. You get him off that curbing, and he got the number 18 to roll through the middle of the turns, and that is so key here at Sunset Speedway.
Right now, the 18 is digging on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to find an opportunity to get past Kevin Lacroix.
See the high line to the low line. Lapsevich downstairs and Lacroix up top, but one driver's reeling them both in is the driver of the 8, Todd.
Guys, just watching a really impressive run by the 8 car of Connor James. Only running his 5th NASCAR Pinty Series event. He does have a top 10 at Takasa to his credit, but a really smart race after starting deep in the field. He has moved his way forward, currently running 4th, and he is running lap times quicker than the 3 cars ahead of him. One to watch in the closing stages.
Well, we've had our eyes on him for a little while now. Definitely turning great lap times, but he needs a yellow flag.
Yeah, he does. He needs to be able to catch up to those 2 race leaders, but you're right. The car just isn't dropping off the way some of the other ones are, but he's really getting close to being within striking distance of both Lapsevich and Lacroix.
Yeah, he's definitely making moves well, not making moves, he's just turning last, but yeah, as they are in traffic, Kevin Lacroix and Trayton Lapsevich, and a couple of cars in a row, this could really slow these guys down, and there you see Connor James within half a straightaway.
Spotter for Kevin Lacroix, working him through traffic. Dexter Stacy is a 92 up on the outside, and should give a big congratulations to Dexter Stacy as well. Brand new father joining us here in the NASCAR Pinty Series.
Yeah, lots to be happy for down in Kahnawake, Quebec, that's for sure. Let's ride with Jason Hathaway again.
That they do get up to a significant amount of speed here at Sunset, but you talked about aerodynamics not really being a factor, but these cars are hauling them in.
They're making some hay, that's for sure. And look at Connor James. He got through that traffic and closed the gap.
Yeah, so he's working his way through the field, much like a veteran. He started dead last in this Canadian Tire 125, and he hasn't had a lot of cautions to work with to make his way forward.
No, that's for sure as we look at Kevin Lacroix. And look at the 2 still battling all day long. Matthew Kingsbury in the 75. Anthony Simone in the 1, still going at it.
Yeah, Simone is going to see the back of that Duro King Dodge in his sleep tonight. It's a battle for 8th position, but they haven't been any further apart than more than a couple car lengths for the last 50 laps or so.
And I'm pleased for the Simone team. They made some adjustments on that race car, and it really looks like it brought it to life. He's much more competitive than he was earlier.
And you can see they do have to get on it, though. They can't dilly-dally too much longer. There's problems on the 98 of Larry Jackson. He's in that runoff area in turn number 2. And the Dark Horse trailers by Jim Bray, number 98, is shut off as he rolls down the hill. No caution, though.
No, he's far enough down that hill you'd never get to him. It doesn't pose any safety concern for the racing, and he'll be able to climb out of that race car and probably enjoy a cold beverage.
We did talk about our next event at Flamborough Speedway. It will be the Pinty's 125, and we'll have a new face in the field as well. An old face, if you're a fan of the NASCAR Pinty Series. J.R. Fitzpatrick will make his return, driving the number 22 or 24 for 22 Racing at Flamborough with support from PartyCasino.fun.
How exciting is it to have J.R. Fitzpatrick back in the fold? I mean, he was dynamite. No matter where he went, it was explosive, it was fun, and wow, Connor James to the inside of Trayton Lapsevich just drives to the bottom and goes around the youngster.
Textbook shoulder-length surgery. He's cutting his way through the field is Connor James, and now up into third spot, and he has perennial championship contender in Kevin Lacroix right up in front of him. Jason Hathaway, though, continues to lead the field as car down pit lane, and it is the 33 of Brett Taylor.
Yeah, trouble for Brett Taylor. Not sure what's going on. That the team goes directly under the hood. It looks like they're checking out spark plug wires.
He's averaging about 1 mile an hour faster per lap than the drivers in front of him, so he is coming.
And that's great for Connor James. If we don't get a caution, it's not enough to catch the leader before the checkered flag flies. So Connor James, I can tell you one thing. He wants to get to second spot before a yellow. He does not want to restart behind anybody.
Watching Jason Hathaway as he gets to the inside, works through lap traffic, clears it without issue. He is well in command here in the Canadian Tire 125. We'll be back to take you to the finish on TSN. Welcome back to NASCAR Racing on TSN, the NASCAR Pinty Series in the Canadian Tire 125 from Sunset Speedway. There is your race leader in the Kubota, number 3, Jason Hathaway. This is not the battle for second. He has that large of a lead.
Jason Hathaway has a huge lead, but we might as well just watch these two because they have been putting on a show for the last 70 laps?
I would think so, that long at the very least. First they were nose to tail, and now they're completely side by side. Anthony Simoni in the silver line, number 1. The Duro King, number 75. Matthew Kingsbury, and Kingsbury got all kinds of out of shape off of 4. He sticks it better off 2 and gets a great run in. You can see how well that outside groove can actually work if you can stick on both ends of the racetrack.
And Simone's showing you how well the inside can work because he has that car pinned. As I say that, of course, he pushes up off the bottom of the racetrack, but they're still door to door, and there are not many marks on either of those cars.
Oh, Kingsbury up, kisses the wall, coming off of turn number 4. He white walls the tire of the Duro King Dodge, but stays in it.
He didn't lift at all. I don't even think it slowed him down that much, but that slide did.
And finally, the all clear for Anthony Simoni as he pulls in front of the 75 of Matthew Kingsbury. Here's a good look at the 17 of TJ Kennington, who is in the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame, and Todd's got a story on another new inductee.
Now, guys, with another member of the Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame, that is Ed Hackinson, the principal at EHR Racing, which has expanded to 4 cars this weekend and this season. Ed Hackinson enters the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame with other NASCAR Pinty Series regulars, such as DJ Kennington, Don Thompson Jr., all members. Great to see another member of the Pinty Series family entering the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame.
And we shouldn't forget Scott Steckley either.
And there's one person here at the racetrack, Dave, who I think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That's car owner Jim Bray, the second Canadian to ever compete in a Daytona 500. That man's history is rich.
Yeah, it really, if you get a chance to talk to Jim Bray, do it. He's got some wonderful racing stories and loves telling them for sure. We ride on board your second place driver. That's Kevin Lacroix, the bumper-to-bumper Lacroix tuning, number 74. A little bit worse for wear today. That car has been through a lot, but he's getting some company in the 8, the SSG gloves, number 8 of Connor James. That cart and the driver just never stops digging.
You can't say Kevin Lacroix's been through a lot and then segue to Connor James, which looks like it reminds me of the old cartoons when the feathers all get ripped off and they seat cover. Connor James uses the seat cover.
He really does. But you know what? The wheels are all pointed in the right direction, and Connor James is driving the wheels off that race car. But there is your race leader. He has been putting on a clinic here today all day. 9 laps to go. That last time we crossed the stripe, the Jason Hathaway firmly in control here in the Canadian Tire 125.
We look at Kevin Lacroix down into the corner, a little bit up on the rumble strips. He can look in his rearview mirror, and he has to be as puzzled as anybody how this open wheel race car is closing in. So there's less than half a second, sorry, just more than half a second between Lacroix and Connor James. So my guess, within a lap, we're going to measure that distance in inches.
Yeah, and James will need a caution to catch your race leader. It's more than 5.3 seconds back between first and second. So if Connor James gets around, we only have 7 laps to go. He will need a caution. 6 now as Hathaway has crossed the stripe.
Kevin Lacroix tried to turn under Jason White, and you saw the back end of the bumper-to-bumper 74 kick out. Connor James looks 3 wide to the inside.
He has no fear at this point. No bumper and no fear to go along with it. He tucks hard down the inside. Thought about making it 3 wide, backed out of it, but now he gets a fender up inside the bumper-to-bumper number 74, and James looking for second spot.
Kevin Lacroix was almost uncharacteristic there. He opened the inside, knowing that's where Connor James was going. Now they're battling side by side, but I'm surprised that he would give up that line, the line he had been running.
And James has been so good on the bottom. He's able to drive that car off very, very straight, get a good run down the straightaway, and he does exactly that. From last to second now for the SSG gloves, number 8 of Connor James.
You could see Connor James' car move up the racetrack as though he was going to come across the nose of Lacroix, but he left that outside line, took one more corner and cleared it.
2 laps to go for your race leader, Jason Hathaway, as he continues out in front of this dice for second position. Hathaway now on cruise control, but he'll see the white flag this time by 1/3 of a mile to win for the first time here in 2020.
Hathaway has to make a decision. Does he need to pass Dexter Stacy? Not really. I think he's going to stay tucked in behind him and do the smart thing, Dave.
2 cars out of the same stable, no contest. Jason Hathaway will win it. Race number 2 here at Sunset Speedway, followed home by Connor James, a little wiggle off turn 4, and Kevin Lacroix will come home 3rd.
Wow, what a stark contrast to race number 1, which had a hairy final lap. Jason Hathaway stomped the field in this one.
Greg Masters, the crew chief for Jason Hathaway. What a drive, what a car your driver had today.
Yeah, that's the way the first race should have went there. That caution kind of got us back, but this team, they've worked so hard. Gary Mead, Jeff Thomas, Don Brock, they've worked hours and hours on this race team in the shop. Good win. 1-2 AHR, Kubota Canada, best sponsors in the series. Good job.
We'll celebrate.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, guys.
On race number 1, Jason Hathaway was doing donuts because of a spin down the front straightaway. This time, he's doing it with the checkered flag stuffed out of the driver's side window. The big winner here at race number 2 at Sunset Speedway. And what a dominating run.
Pulling up to the outside wall in 3 and 4. Not sure who he's looking to salute up there, but there's somebody who wants, maybe he's trying to grab a beer. We'll be right back with Victory Lane.
For the 13th time in his NASCAR Pinty Series career and the first time in 2020, Jason Hathaway jumps out in victory lane. Todd?
After taking a minute to get a cold drink and collect himself after a hard-fought 125 laps of action, Jason Hathaway is climbing out of that number 3 car. That Camaro took him to victory, and he's ready to celebrate here in race number 2 of the NASCAR Pinty Series 2020 season. Jason Hathaway, a dominating performance, a dominating car, and he scores the victory. Was leading by about 5 seconds at one point. And Jason, what a strong car you had. What a great performance by your entire team here in race number 2.
Yeah, man, we should have had 2 trophies today. That's the way it goes, Bo. We fought back there in between. We should have had one in the first one, but the boys, after a few swear words, we got back at it and set the car back up. So I knew we had a good car. Just young Lapsevich and he was leading there a bit, and he was doing a good job. So I just let him have it for a bit. He's fighting for a ride, and I knew once we get by him, we'd have a good car and check out. So sure was glad there was no cautions at the end there. Wanted to get this one finished off without a couple spins and a couple bumpers. But I thank Kubota, Fast Eddie, Chaco, Total Lubricants, Kugel Bearings, Transit Warehouse, and Kubota for sure. They're with us every weekend.
Jason Hathaway, your winner here at Sunset Speedway.
That was a long green flag stretch to end that race, and Jason Hathaway just showed us the signs of what it'll do to you to be in a hot race car for that long.
That really does take a lot out of you as we take a look at the Leland Industries final results. Donald Teach coming home with a top 5. Kennington salvages the 6th place finish.
Anthony Simoni, the hardest working driver, comes home with a 7th. Dexter Stacy in the top 10.
Now let's go down to your 2nd place finisher, Todd.
Connor James with a stellar effort to come away with a 2nd place finish. You really put your knowledge of this place to use in race number 2 here in the 2020 season. What a great ride.
Yeah, thank you. The track came to me about 10 laps in. Tires finally came in, and we had an unfortunate first race, but man, didn't look pretty, but she was fast in the second one. I can't thank all the HR guys enough. Stevie, Jamie, my dad, Kyle, Darren, all the guys who just wrenched on the car today, and it's cool for HR to come home 1-2, and hopefully we can do it again a couple more times this year.
Great result from Connor James here at Sunset Speedway.
Yeah, good to see new young faces in the NASCAR Pinty Series field, and that's definitely one we'll watch here in 2020. So a little bit of a shake-up in the WeatherTech point standings here in the Fan Cave Challenge. Jason Hathaway now atop by only 2, though.
Over Trayton Lasovich, who we don't expect to see again because Alex Tagliani will be back filling the seat of that 18.
Kevin Lacroix, once again, you charged through the field at Sunset Speedway, made your way up towards the front. Couldn't quite get it done, but still a podium finish is a nice result.
Yeah, well, what happened, early in the race, bent the toe a little bit. So the car was really good, but maybe because of that, not the best one. But, starting 12, short track like this, things happen. So very happy about it. 3rd place, that's very good, starting from 12, so we're happy.
Yeah, behind all those masks, you can see smiling faces. Jason Hathaway put his back on for victory lane. The Canadian Tire 125 on TSN has been brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn. By Dark Horse Trailers, by Jim Bray. By Total Quartz Engine Oils. And by Quick-Wick, the world's best fire starters. Go to quickwick.com for your NASCAR discount code.
And Dave, for our next 2 races, we go to a new venue, Flamborough Speedway, just outside of Hamilton, Ontario. You're not going to want to miss those races.
It's about the size of a paperclip, and it is going to be action-packed. But we have 2 very good ones here to open up the 2020 season at Sunset Speedway. From all of us here at Fuel Media Lab, we'll see you at Flamborough.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.